My name is Hodges. I am the co-founder and lead writer for Ink and Lyre. I also play Samson Martis on Fate's End, and I'm the showrunner for the Iron Valor show on Wednesdays. My job at Ink and Lyre is to be the lyre piece of what we do here. So I work on a lot of storytelling, making sure that all of the shows can run well as our published works as they start to come out. We chose to write Stargazer's Guide to Aroria because we wanted to establish a foundation for the universe that we're building here at Ink and Lyre. Our Fate's End show is set in Aroria. Many of our campaign books are set in portions of that. If they can be done on other planes and things like that, they're incorporated into Aroria, and we wanted to establish a universe, and that's why we started to do Stargazer's Guide to Aroria. Also, previous versions of our content could be found on Patreon and over on our Instagram and things like that, and they were really designed to kind of fit into any universe. And that resulted in some generic content that could go into your homebrew world or Forgotten Realms or Eberron or wherever. And we found that our creative needs drove us to a place where we wanted to have a specific world. Some of our classes, some of our items, some of the specific materials we wanted to do didn't necessarily fit in other homebrew worlds. And so we wanted to make our own to establish something for everyone to be in. And that's why we decided to make Stargazer's Guide to Aroria. So the zodiac mechanic was not my idea. It was not something that I necessarily wanted to do, but it was Lauren's. And it's something that works inherently well with D&D. The stars, the destiny, the fate, all of those things work incredibly well. And I, like many people, have been, I was very skeptical about what zodiac and astrology could be. But in doing research for the mechanical piece of this and designing it, I discovered that it had deep roots in ancient Egyptian, ancient Babylon, ancient China, all these places that there were a collective group of intelligent people who looked to the stars and saw something. And when you have that pattern of intelligent thought throughout the world from cultures that maybe or maybe did not interact with one another, I believe there has to be something true and real there. And so the more I get into zodiac stuff and the more I understand it and about the history of it and how it works, the more it makes sense. And especially for something like D&D, there has to be something that's said, that can be said for people looking to the stars and it having some sort of effect, because you feel something when you do. I'm not sure how it works. I think it's a lot like magic. I don't think you're expected to know exactly how it works, but it does. And so I think it really, really works for D&D, and I think it's something that's super fun. So, I have found in designing it that it is a incredible tool to build amazing characters and NPCs and really connect your character to the world of Aroria. Two things excite me more than anything else when it comes to Stargazer's Guide to Aroria. Number one, I want to see how players and game masters use the manifestations. I'll give you an example. There is a manifestation of what we're calling Flirtide, which is a sign that is similar to Aries in the traditional zodiac system. And the Aries or the Flirtide is associated with something called the Flaming Ram. And the Flaming Ram is something that appears to all Flirtide signs at some point in life, and it is a call to action to pursue your passions. And so I'm very excited to see how game masters introduce the sighting or the visibility or the appearance of the Flaming Ram for Flirtide characters to drive them into those character developing moments. And also for players to utilize them in their backstory or possibly as a reason to stop adventuring. I think that's something that's really, really exciting. Follow that up with the special circumstances. There are these unique circumstances of birth, like let's say you were born not only under your sign and your ruler and your heir, but your particular moment of birth occurred during a lunar eclipse or a solar eclipse or a meteor shower of some kind. Those effects give players in this zodiac system special, unique, amazing abilities. And I'm really excited to see how players who earn those through the roll of the dice and game masters who want to create villains and heroes to interact with the party, I'm excited to see how game masters use those. And players to some extent too, but really game masters. By far, my favorite new character option in Stargazer's Guide to Aroria is the Lapidary Artificer. The Lapidary Artificer, or Lapidary for those of you who don't know, is a type of artisan that cuts and polishes gemstones, specifically cutting them and making those facets. So the class is designed around this idea that you have an artificer who has mastered that skill and can use these gems as a arcane focus to change and alter spells. So you might have a fireball that can be cast instead of a 20-foot radius, a 60-foot cone. Or you can use cone of cold, but instead make it a cone of acid. Then they can make your artificer a little bit more customizable. And because I believe that's something that artificer players actually already kind of like. They want to be able to customize things. They want to be able to build things. They want that mechanical aspect. And this is a way for them to mechanically change their spells, just like they change everything else, as artificers do. Meridian, first and foremost, is a material. It is a arcane, almost rock, right, that has innate magical properties. It can take on the physical attributes of tactile substances, such as steel, iron, copper, traditional stone, limestone, sand, and even in some cases when it's refined, liquids like water, wine, beer, those sorts of things. And it can take on the properties of one object and transmute them into another object. And it is effectively, in Aroria, a very expensive material. It is popular among artificers and wizards and the arcane people. It can be used for artisans to make works of art and masterpieces that would otherwise be impossible. For instance, you could take something very delicate like glass, transmute it, use the meridian to turn it into sand, work that into any kind of shape or object you want to, and then when the timer's up, it would return to that glass shape, assuming the pieces were attached together and all that sort of thing. And so it allows people who may not be incredibly talented from an artistic standpoint to do things that would otherwise be impossible. And that works. It makes the work of a blacksmith much easier, but because you can take steel, turn it to copper, work it much faster, and then you still have a strong blade at the end. We chose to do a Kickstarter because we wanted to show everyone what Ink and Lyre was and what the way we were changing. The Kickstarter is a way for us to make Stargazer's Guide to Aroria and showcase our world in a way that it really deserves. We've been playing in this homebrew world for 2-3 years now. We put a lot of work into it, and some of the art that we've already commissioned for it, some of the stuff you've seen before, maybe see some of it now. It looks and shows off what we're trying to do. And the Kickstarter allows for all of you to enjoy that with us and help bring this whole setting and everything that we do over on Fates In and here at Ink and Lyre, bring that to life so that you can all enjoy and share this with us. Because that's really what tabletop RPGs are all about. The magic of playing in a game like this is that you get to create new experiences with your friends. And we have had so many wonderful experiences with our best friends in the Aroria setting that we want to be able to share it with all of you. And we think it's a really fun thing to do, and we want you all to create those memories with yourself, with all of yourselves and all of your friends, and share that with us. So it's a little goofy, but as we're getting closer and closer into production, we have a sample of what the Kickstarter and what Stargazer's Guide to Aroria is going to look like. So there's a PDF you can go find, you can download it, and you can see a sample of what we're going to be putting out when the Kickstarter is completed. And seeing my work and the writing and the things that we've created that always existed in our collaborative minds on paper is something that I did not know would hit home for me so hard. Looking at La Cambria, looking at Aroria, looking at the maps, seeing the manifestations, those things, and seeing our work actually put into paper is something that I am super excited about. And I'm super excited to share all of that with you. And it's a kind of like a fulfillment of a lifelong dream in some ways. So I'm really, really excited to see that. And then also we're creating this game master board that is done by Nine Realms Gaming that has it's got some of the Aroria art on it. It has these fantastic, their woods and their quality and everything that they do is so wonderful and amazing. And you have this really super high quality game board. I'm not going to be making a lot of them, but for those that get one of these and they play one of these at their table, I think it's going to be a really cool and unique experience, and I'm excited to see people pop that out on their table and show everybody that. I think it's going to be super fun. When the Kickstarter is over and we funded and we've done everything that we want to do, the next step is to complete the book. Right now we have about a third of the book completed. We have the structure and the organization, everything that we need to finish the book. And so we have artists and writers and everybody lined up to complete that we're hoping to be able to release sometime in early Q1 of 2022. So when that releases, when the Kickstarter is over, it's gung-ho finishing all that, putting the layout together, and fulfilling all of the Kickstarter rewards and everything that goes out. After this Stargazer's Guide to Aroria is out in the world, that is the establishment of the Ink and Lyre universe. So once we finish this book and we get that in the hands of people, it's on to the next story. We have ideas for a monster book, an adventure module that we want to write. There are several compendiums that we think would be, that are the content that we have and these ideas that we have that we want to create, we need to create, and we want to share with all of you. So this is the first book and what will hopefully be a series about the Aroria universe, and we're excited to see where it goes next. So that's what's after the Kickstarter.